Hey guys, welcome back to Football Ninja Podcast. I am your host Amit. Joining me today is Karthik. Hey Karthik, what's happening?
Hey Amit, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Karthik. Today, when I was doing research for today's podcast, today going to talk about transfer and how teams have till now how teams have done in the current transfer window. And honestly, Karthik, I'm very impressed with the window that Chelsea is having. Already signed big five players, and these players I think will directly go to playing 11. What are your take on it?
Yeah, of course, man. I think that was needed, and I think all the money that they got from Hazard and Morata has been invested well. I mean, we recently just found out, right? I mean, there's a news going on that Hazard was actually sold for 160 million, which is a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
amount, and I think that also shows why Real Madrid are not active in this transfer season. But then, yeah, I think so. They have spent about 200 million, right? More than 200 million in all these transfers till now, and I think it's been a great spending spree. Getting young players sort of goes with the project that Lampard is building, around the club right now. And of course, as you said, they all fit into the playing 11. We will go into each of them
Yes.
individually, but yeah, I think it's been a great start to the season already.
Yeah, Karthik. So let's start with Thiago Silva. I think a good anchor role defender that you guys have bought comes as free. That's actually an added advantage. Though his age might be not a problem, but I think he would be still good for at least
Yeah.
one or two seasons.
Yeah.
But who does he play with?
So as I can think of, I think, or I would say he would play directly with Rudiger. Rudiger being on the left side of the centre back role, and him playing on the right. And I think more than getting a defender, they are sort of getting that leader in the dressing room, or somebody who can inspire these young lads who have just come in. Yes, it's always good to have a young side, but you also need these experienced, leaders, like we had John Terry, earlier. So he's somebody like that who can inspire these people, and these players can also learn a lot from him. We need a lot of learning in defense, after the last
Yes.
season. So I think
Yes.
he'll be really helpful. We know he's on the wrong side of 30. He's almost 36 now, and but he's still quick. He knows how to play from the back, and that's how he's been used to playing, in PSG, and that's how Frank Lampard also wants to play that, possession-based football, keeping the ball. So that would be really helpful, and I hope these young defenders, there's Christensen, Zuma, Rudiger is not that old yet, so I hope these they sort of learn from him, and of course it's a great signing for Chelsea.
Yeah, I think too, Karthik. It's a good signing for Chelsea, in especially in defense where they were kind of lacking, and as you said, they need that leader role on the defense side of the things there. Going to Timo Werner, Karthik, I think a very exceptional buy by Chelsea. It happened early in the season. You just go through his stats. He has scored 28 goals and 8 assists just in previous season, and he would obviously play with Hakim Ziyech. So those two, how do you see them playing? And so obviously they'll be also replacing a couple of people from Chelsea. Uh,
Yeah,
I think
right.
Tammy Abraham or and Giroud would
Yeah,
be on the on the receiving end of it, sitting on the sideline.
yeah.
But do you think these two playing together, how amazing do you think that would be? One, and the other also is how well Pulisic would. I'm hoping he would play on the left
Yep.
with these two playing up front. How would he complement them?
So first of all, I think ZH is the only sort of the right wing we have right now. There is, of course, there's Callum Hudson-Odoi who can play on the right as well, but his preferred, is the left wing position. Uh, and I think it would be good. We saw it in the friendly match against Brighton, where ZH with an amazing over the ball, over the top of the defense. He put in a ball. So really excited about it. Werner's been in good form. He scored 2 in 2 now. He scored for Chelsea, then he also scored for Germany in the Nations League last week, day before. So I hope he can continue his form in the Premier League. It's a whole new, different ball game, the Premier League, as
Correct. Yeah.
compared to Bundesliga. But I hope these three, and we saw Pulisic, his the best of him, or not the best of him, but a better of him after the restart. He was a totally different, improved player than he was. So I'm hoping these three can gel well, and then with Havertz right behind them. Uh, uh, so I hope that works out well. In my mind, on paper, it looks like an amazing front
Yeah.
line,
Yeah.
and
Right.
midfield. But we all know, we can also talk about the England squad here, the last set of players that they had. That was an amazing team on paper, but so I hope that doesn't happen. But it looks very promising right now.
Yeah, and as you said, Kai Havertz also coming in, so he becomes the latest signing,
Yeah.
and now the most expensive of the transfer yet.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and then I think it will be difficult for Mason Mount to come back. What do you think about him when Kai Havertz comes in? So obviously he plays. You're not gonna sign a 70, $80 million person to
Yeah.
sit on the bench,
Yeah.
and then he comes directly and plays. And then what happens to Mason Mount, another exceptional talent at Chelsea? What do you think will happen to him?
So I think Mason Mount keeps his place. He's been playing on the left side of the midfield, which I think he will continue alongside Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who is just he's just recovered from an ACL last season. He just came in at the end, but I think Mount sort of keeps his place on the left side of the midfield. The my main concern right now is the center, because Havertz goes on the right, playing right behind Ziyech. Then we have three senior players, in the center. So you either go
Yeah.
with Kovacic, you go with Kante, or you go with Jorginho. So that's gonna be tricky for Lampard. But I think playing in 4-5 competitions, they would need that depth. Kante, as we all know, has been struggling with injury the entire season last season. So I think Kovacic and Jorginho. I think Kovacic keeps his place. He has had an exceptional season. He's also won Chelsea's Player of the Year. So
Yes.
I
Correct.
think he sort of keeps his place there. I would go with him. So if you ask me how they line up, I would sort of go with Pulisic, Werner, Ziyech leading the line, with Mount, Kovacic, and Havertz right behind them. And then we Chilwell, Rudiger, Silva, and Azpilicueta uh, as the defense line, with as of now Kepa being the number one keeper.
Yeah, I think yes, and I think Chelsea is still in the market for a keeper.
Yeah.
That's that is still up. Especially Karthik. So in the beginning of the season, the transfer window, we saw Pedro and Willian leaving, which was, I think that hole is filled by Hakim Ziyech there.
Yep.
And talking about Ben Chilwell, I think he would be also a very good addition to the Chelsea side. Strengthening the defense. How well do you think? I think it's a good buy, but what's your opinion on him?
So he's still pretty young, 23 years of age. We all know Chelsea has had problems with the left back position. Alonso being really good going forward, but then defensive, he lacks that quality. So Chilwell sort of fills that up, and he has an excellent mentor in Ashley Cole as well in Chelsea, who I think he can learn from him a lot. Cole being one of the best left backs for me, at least in the game. So I hope he sort of fits in well there. If so I think the main thing last season was, we all spoke about Kepa. People sort of ignored the back line, which I think was also a big problem, because you cannot just blame the keeper for the defense, right? Yes, he let in goals. His save percentage was one of the lowest in the league. But then you also have to, blame the defense line for it. So I think that is, that sort of fixes it a bit with Chilwell coming in, and Rudiger can also, play well. He's not a bad defender, but you cannot just do with a single defender there, right? So I think that sort of fixes it. That would also sort of give Kepa the confidence that he has a good defense line in front of him. He has Silva, who can to command that entire defense and the keeper as well. So I think they might still take a chance going with Kepa for a season because he's come in for like 70 million, right, or about 80 million.
Yes.
It's not gonna be easy to get that kind of money back. Probably if they get a new keeper, he would probably go out on loan or something, which has been discussed in the past, in the last few weeks. But then they might still go ahead and take a chance with Kepa, which I am not very, which I wouldn't prefer a lot. I know there have been rumors about Giano Black from Atletico Madrid. But then he's going to cost about 110 million is what is the release clauses, and they are not going to pay that much for a keeper again. I guess.
I don't think the Chelsea is gonna do
Yeah.
this same mistake twice. It'll be difficult for them, and also looking at the money that they've received in this entire transfer, I think they still haven't breaked even. They're still, they're still using money from Morata and Hazard,
Yep.
right? And Karthik, one thing, this actually seals Chelsea's intention to for the Premier League this season. Looking at the side they are right now, and if added advantage if they have a good keeper coming in as well.
Yeah.
I want to move towards Arsenal. I think Arsenal is having a very busy transfer window, which we have hardly seen over the years.
Yeah.
They have let go of Henrik Mkhitaryan to Roma. I'm so happy for him. At least he's getting to play somewhere. Yes, so Gabriel Magalhaes comes in.
Yeah.
What are your opinions about Arsenal and the transfer that they're having right now?
So, they have also got Dani Ceballos, right? Again on a season-long loan from Real Madrid. He's had a mixed bag of a season, I would say. He's played really well in some of the games. He struggled in some of them, but I think first season in Premier League, you can give that to him. But he's been one of the good players. Arsenal in the Arsenal side last season. In terms of defense, I think they have got Magalhaes, they have got William Saliba who's come back after his loan spell. So I hope David Luiz sort of learns from his mistakes last season and not do them again. I think so. Let's see how that goes. I haven't seen a lot of Gabriel Magalhaes, to be very honest. So as we've read or as we've seen, he's been really good for Lille. So let's hope he continues to do that. We all saw Arteta's idea of football coming in the last month. They've also won 2 cups. So he's determined to make something out of that. But let's see how that goes.
Also, Karthik, so Willian has moved to Arsenal. That has also happened. So, do you think this side with new people coming in, do you think they would be competing for top 4 now?
I still wouldn't go that far yet. Yes, they should finish either 5th or 6th, on the table, but I would still think they still need some improvements in the side to be a top 4 side. I honestly don't know where Willian sort of fits in because they have Pepe on the right side where Willian usually plays. They got him for about 72 million, so not just to sit on the bench, right? So he's there. There's Lacazette, there's Aubameyang, there's Maitland-Niles. So they have a bunch of young players also in that role. But I think Willian is more, to increase that depth in the squad and to have that experience in the side. Let's hope he's got a lot of Brazilian teammates as well now. So
I think Lacazette also is rumored to go to Atletico. That's a different story altogether, Atletico. In that sense, but I feel Arsenal are doing something that they usually don't do. They're very busy this season, especially in transfer window. Still a very young side in terms of confidence, and Arteta being the new manager coming in, trying to change things. Let's see how does this work out. Even Hector Berlin, so there are rumors of him as a leaving to PSG obviously, and then he's stuck with Guendouzi for now. Let's see how Arsenal turns out to how does this turns out to be. I would like to move towards Leicester now because we're talking about the top 6. They finished in top 6. after Chilwell leaving, they have signed Timothy Castagne from Atlanta for 25 million. Do you think this move helps them to, defensively be at least similar to Ben Chilwell?
I wouldn't say that, because Castagne primarily is a left wing back, right? So he is not an out and out left back. Ben Chilwell is. Yes, Ben Chilwell likes to go forward, but Castagne is not as strongly defensive as Chilwell. So yes, they have filled that role. That might be more of a to have somebody of that quality to fill that role. But he sort of, if I have to compare Castagne, he would compare more with Alonso, where he's really good going forward. We've seen that in the Belgian side time and again. So he's not a direct replacement for Chilwell, but yes, he definitely fills that position for Brandon Rodgers at the moment.
Yeah, I feel that Leicester as a side, so they have successfully extended Madison's contract as well. So I think they are very happy with what side they have right now, and looking what they were able to do. Also, I think Vardy has also extended his contract. So I think they're kind of happy with the kind of players they have, and they have, I think, good money after after Ben Chilwell left. Also, Karthik, so do you think Leicester would be able to do what they did last season, being in top four? Unfortunately, yes, they had a very terrible last leg of the season post Christmas. Man U were able to chase that deficit off. But do you think they will be able to, replicate the same kind of season that they did? And also, do you think they have? I think the reason why they were able to they had that issue in the last part of the season was because the side was very thin. There were a lot of injuries coming in. It felt like Leicester A playing again in Premier League because of injuries that had, the kind of injuries that happened. Do you think they'll be able to, with this signing, which is not enough? They just replaced Ben Chilwell only. Do you think they'll be able to replicate that kind of season under Brendan Rodgers?
They definitely need a beefed up squad for Europa League, right? Playing in Europa League and then FA Cup, League Cup. They have 4 or 5 different competitions that they're going to compete in, and they cannot do it with a thin squad. And like you said, if they can finish in the top 4, I would doubt. But having said that, Leicester's always been that side where you don't expect them to. We did not expect them to win the league. We did not expect them to finish in the top 4 last season, but they did, right? So they can still do it, but as of now, how it looks or how other teams have been, lining up for the next season, it looks a little bleak for them.
Yeah. Also, as you said, playing one more competition would put that pressure on the side, and looking at how thin their side is, it will be difficult for them. I think this would be very advantageous for. Having said that, this would be very advantageous for Arsenal because they'll have one less competition to play and they can focus on top 4. Going to Liverpool now, Karthik, they have signed Kostas Tsimikas from Olympiacos for 11 million, and that's the only signing till now. I think they were in the market for Thiago as well, but I think now he's quite happy, apparently quite happy in Bayern, as he said. So he's definitely not coming to Liverpool. Why do you think? Do you think they're happy with what the side they have, or they are not able to sign in more players? What do you think is happening with Liverpool?
I mean, I wouldn't say that they are not able to sign more players, right? They won the league with a good number of points, with a good lead. One of the most feared sides in Europe right now. But I think they have had a lot of people moving out as well. So there's Lallana who's been released from his contract. One of the best Liverpool players, Dejan Lovren, he's also left. So and that leaves Salah alone, right? His the bromance that they had, that sort of goes away now. So this guy, I mean, he's a young defender, but I am still a little concerned, about their defense line. Yes, there's Van Dijk who can control the back line all by himself, if he's the only one in defense. But we also Gomez or Matip sort of piggyback on that on Van Dijk for the defense, and they have been playing well. But they still would need somebody in that midfield, because there are rumors of Wijnaldum going to Barcelona.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a pretty strong rumor. They would need somebody, and also Lallana's left, so there are like two holes in the squad right now. And
But I think Karthik also Lalana was not that frequent in the playing 11. I think when he was leaving the club, it was quite a like. I think Klopp was everybody was expecting him to
yeah,
make him play in the last game, but then he did not do that as well.
yeah,
So I think so. The problem I think what we are having is because Chelsea is having such good transfer window
yeah.
that
It
we
makes
are
them
comparing
look, yeah.
yeah
They make
we are
it look
comparing
bad.
every other team with that.
Yeah,
I think and also Mane has a quite strong rumor with Real Madrid as well. So
yeah,
uh, and then I think for me Mane is player of the season for Liverpool. He has done that the entire season
yeah,
last
yeah.
time, and if he goes out, I think the complexion of Liverpool that side would differ.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. To be honest, because if they already have Hazard in that place, there's Vinicius Junior in that same position, and getting another 100+ million signing for the left wing doesn't make a lot of sense, right? For any team, in fact. Not just Real Madrid, but talking about Liverpool, yes, I mean Lallana and Lallana hasn't been a regular in the starting 11, but he has filled in that position when they needed.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
When Naby Keita, they got Naby Keita, but he wasn't performing really well. Wijnaldum was sort of injured, so he filled in that position. So they need somebody to do that. We've also seen rumors about Shaqiri might move out, so that sort of that squad was pretty the squad wasn't thin the last season, but
Hmm. Hmm.
these guys leaving will definitely should concern Klopp about about the fatigue of the players, especially in that midfield.
I think Liverpool. I think still one of the favorites to win this season. Uh, Probably they still will be going with the same team, more or less the same team. And
you know
what do you think? One of your favorites to win this time?
that I would go with City. But not Liverpool. City is gonna come back strong. I think Liverpool. If you see that, especially after the restart, their win percentage has been less than 50%. So that should be somewhat concerning. Yes, they won the league. Yes, right, but they haven't been in good form. Uh, they have sort of struggled, to get to gel that team again, or it sort of felt like that they lost their the momentum that they had before it shut down. They lost all that, and then we saw against City they were hammered by City.
Yeah, yeah.
I would think City is gonna come back strong. Their only issue about last season was their defense, which they have sort of fixed. So I'm gonna go with City, sort of finishing over
No, Karthik. So
Liverpool.
also, if you see, winning Premier League back to back is very difficult. That's why very few sides have done that
Yeah.
in the past. And also, I want to also see. We have seen Van Dijk and Alisson in good form to what they do.
Yeah, yeah.
But what if they are not in form? So how does Liverpool cope up with that? And that would be a couple of challenges that Liverpool might face this season.
And
And
we saw that against Arsenal as well, right? When both of them sort of fucked up, and
yeah.
and they were all over the place in that match. So yeah,
So and also if you see, Liverpool has this trend of like if they keep on winning, they do that, but then if they start losing, and they also do that continuously. So we saw them losing to Watford, and that's when the
yeah,
thing started. They were thrown off Champions League by a
Atletico.
very mediocre Atletico side. I'm saying mediocre because I don't like the way they play, very defensive, pragmatic way they play. So they were able to beat them at their home. So let's see what happens with Liverpool. I think definitely a top four contender, but I think other sides have also buffed up this season
Yeah.
to challenge them and challenge Van Dijk and Alisson, that partnership as well. Moving to Manchester City, Karthik, yes, as you were saying, your favorites to win this time. They have gotten Nathan Ake for 41 million. I think that's a good amount of money for him that they paid as they wanted a defender. They have also got Ferran Torres from Valencia for 21 million. Your opinion about that? Think they are dead focus on defenders now, especially what happened to them against Lyon in
Yeah.
Champions League last season. And yes, they really wanted Messi, but now that Messi has confirmed that he's going to be in Barcelona for a year
Yeah.
at least, that would be, I think that was more like a PR thing
Yeah.
for City, that we also have Messi now. But I don't think so. Looking at their stats, as we discussed in the last episode as well, they scored 102 goals in last season. That's a big thing, as that shows how in form their strikers were. I think the only reason they didn't win Premier League last season was because of their defense, and now they've got Ake for that. Do you think this is a good move from them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was nobody alongside Laporte to do that, and we have all seen Ake doing brilliantly in the Bournemouth side. He's a good defender. He has a high dual winning rate. Defends well. He's pretty. He makes those runs. He knows when these strikers are making these runs. So he's pretty proactive in that way. Ferran Torres, also another good signing, young guy. I think he's just a like for like replacement for Sane, who's gone to Bayern. Just to have that, backup for Sterling on the left hand side. But I think the rest of the side, it was more or less they had it covered. Midfield, we don't even need to talk about. There's Kevin De Bruyne, who I think is far better than any other midfielder right now, according to me. So
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
so
I don't think so anybody has a difference in opinion in that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but I have to say that there might be people who might be offended. There, people. I mean, there's Bruno Fernandes. You might be offended if I say Kevin De Bruyne is a. So I think, yeah. So for me, they have that side who can go ahead and win the league this time.
Yeah, I think it's just that I hope Nathan Ake clicks well for them. They have kind of buffed up their defense, as I said earlier. I'm not sure that they go out and win this time, but I'm sure they'll give a good competition. Coming to the red side of Manchester, Karthik, I think Donny van de Beek, we have spoken enough about him. Media has spoken enough about him, positives and negatives. He would definitely come into the side, and I think directly comes in, playing 11. He came in for 40 million. I think a very frugal signing by Manchester United. I think that is almost half of what they were asking a couple of years back for him. What do you think about him?
But I want to throw this question back to you, right? So where does he come in? We know Matic has been, a real defense in that, midfield three, with Bruno and Pogba playing in a very advanced role. Matic has sort of covered that thing, right? Matic or Fred, you might say. So Donny van de Beek, not very good defensively. He's again, very similar to Pogba or. Pogba or Bruno Fernandes, he's sort of that playmaker. But my guess would be if he has to come in, come into the side, and Solskjaer wants to play all three of them together, then I think Pogba would sort of move more into a defensive. I mean, out of the three, I think Pogba is the best defensively, so he would sort of move into more of a defensive role, and then Donny, Van de Beek and Bruno Fernandes sort of going more advanced.
Yeah, I think we saw his best when he was playing along Frankie De Jong
Yeah.
in Ajax, and Frankie De Jong is a defensive midfielder that would that kind of that partnership kind of mingled really well.
Yep.
I think if Ole would see, I don't think so. Fred. I don't know. Surprisingly, Fred was too frequent. Oh, he used to open too frequently
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Ole, especially at the end of the season, I think that might also be to do with the fatigue because they were back-to-back games. I see him, play directly going and playing 11. It's just that if it is top three, if Martial, Bruno at number 10, and Rashford, then the like mid three would be Donny and Pogba and Matic. So if that would be a good line, but then that basically means Greenwood sits. So I think it's a good competition to have, especially currently we don't have that kind of competition. If you see what is coming from the bench, I think that kind of competition you always see in City, right? So you see good players sitting on the bench and over and over again, and there are, because the reason is because there are better people playing on the pitch. So that kind of competition is difficult to see in Manchester right now, but it will be good to see that competition happening as well. We are in Champions League this time. That gives us an added advantage to these players to have, and talking about Champions League, I think Donny has the most experience in Champions League coming in. He's 23 years old, and I think he's always Ajax have always qualified for Champions League. So that kind of experience he would get into the team. Yes, there are 2-3 more rumors that Manchester United are linked with. There are a couple of defenders they are looking for. If that also comes in, I think we'll have a very solid side. Especially we need somebody to, be a partner with Maguire. Lindelof is doing good, but then we need somebody better. We need somebody to replace Luke Shaw's position as well. Williams is doing that case, but then he's just 19. We need somebody to fill that space as well. I think we are quite sorted in mid and striking position as of now.
But Amit, just one question here, right? Sorry to cut you off there, but what do you think of the front line? Because see, right now Rashford, Greenwood, and Martial sort of leading the line in most games that I would expect, right? And anybody would expect that. But again, United again playing in a lot of competitions this season again, right? So there's Champions League, which is we all know it's a much more bigger play than the Europa League, to be very honest. So how does the front line, because if you see the backup right now, there's Igalo who's not been bad since he's come on loan, but he's not he's not that striker who you would who you would expect to score a lot of goals, even though he's a second striker. Right now you cannot expect Martial to play 2 times a week or 2 games a week. He's gonna get worn out after a point of time. So where does that cover sort of come from? Because right now, if I see on the right hand side, there's this Greenwood, and then there's on the left there is. So if you look on the left hand side, there's Rashford, and then there's Daniel James, who's still again a young guy, right? So how do you think that sort of compares with how you would to City or Chelsea at the moment?
I think I'm very positive about especially the starting three. Greenwood has kind of shown his talent, how amazing he is. He is a dynamite when it comes to striking the ball, that we have seen in the last season as well. Rashford and Martial. So I'm little iffy about Martial though, right? Especially if you saw that in Europa against Sevilla. I think Martial had good chances, but he could not convert, and that's one issue which I always have with Martial. He is a kind of selfish player in those terms, especially when it comes to gameplay. He doesn't do that. He does that, like, he would pass the ball when if there are 10 people around him. Otherwise, he'll not think about passing the ball, and usually doesn't convert those goals as well. I'm a little iffy with that. I think he has to be a little mature now. If that kind of responsibility is given to him as a striker. I think Rashford is an amazing player to have right now. He's an academy player.
Yep.
He has shown, I think Greenwood, Rashford and Martial, the number of goals they've scored are pretty good.
Yeah.
The only reason what I'm thinking about Greenwood is that he's just 19.
Yeah.
And you cannot expect him to have a consistent form. If you see the gameplay of Manchester United, they are really good at attacking. As a counter attack, they are really good at it. But once a team has park the bus is when they don't know what to do. We have seen that time and time again. They have no idea what to do in that position. So we need somebody to create more chances. So that's why Bruno came in and took that. Yes, he doesn't have the best pass percentage or the best pass completion rate, but that would happen because he's creating those chances.
Of course, yeah.
And the only concern that I have is we don't have a good defense. Maguire, yes, he is a good defender, but he doesn't have the pace. Lindelof doesn't have the pace too. So we need a defender who has pace. So I hope Manchester United gets somebody, and they've been, as I told you earlier as well, they've been linked to good sides or good players. So if they come in, let's see what happens. I think that's when we would compete for that top 4 position. But looking at the form as such, I think they have been a very good form post Christmas. They kind of, I think there was good 11 or 12 point deficit to Leicester, and they came over it and to qualify for Champions League in the last day of Premier League was a very exciting finish. I think that would give a lot of morale boost to Ole as a manager and as well as the players. And let's see how do we take it forward, especially a couple of defenders come in.
I think talking about defense, I think another quick thing here is you also have Dean Henderson back from Sheffield United now. So I know United have had troubles with De Gea, in the last 2 seasons where everybody is talking about his decline in form or the errors that he's made. So I think that also gives a good competition to De Gea and Dean Henderson. We know he's had an exceptional season last season, right? One of the best keepers in the league. So I think that also sort of fixes that bit where you would have 2 great keepers to fill that position when required.
Yeah, I think also there have been times where you see De Gea play and then he does this crazy world-class saves, and then you totally forget about the mistakes that he have made. But the amount of mistakes that De Gea did last season were atrocious. So I think that was a concern point for Manchester United, and I think Dean Henderson, looking at his form coming back to Man U, pretty good. So there will be a healthy competition there as well for Dean Henderson and De Gea put together. That would kind of fix our defense in that way, but we definitely need a defender as well. And also I feel that this season would be a make or break for Ole. So I think Ole has to win some trophy this season. I think we have gone 3 seasons without winning a trophy. We are Manchester United, for God's sake. So regardlessly what happens, we need it. Also talking about Sanchez leaving the club, he has finally moved to Inter Milan. That has happened. I'm happy that he left. He was the kind of, especially the way he came into the club, and also now he's opened up about his time in Manchester United. Was not that happy that he thought it will be. I think we all know that story now. Happy that he left. It was kind of, he's a good talent. It was getting wasted in Man U. That was definitely happening, and doesn't also play along with the idea of what Ole had towards the club. And you can slow and steadily see the players that he's getting in, and the team that is being built around his idea is kind of working, but it will take time. I think we definitely should have a good Champions League run this time. I'm not saying we're gonna win it, but I think looking at the players now, people have matured. I hope Martial gets matured more. Finishing is important, but we'll also get to see how Bruno does over an entire season, right? So we have not seen that side of the story of Bruno as well. We have seen him play post January, obviously, once he came in, and then he's been exceptional. I think one of the best signings in January ever for me. And then let's see how does. Do you think they'll finish top 4?
I would keep them at 4th. they would. I think they should finish the top four this season. But I want to sort of move on from to another team who has gone without trophies for more than 3 years. Our ex-managers, ex-Chelsea and ex-Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho's Tottenham. How do you think they are sort of lining up? We saw they got Matt Doherty from Wolves, exceptional, right wing back. But what do you think about Tottenham? How do you think they're gonna? Um,
I think Jose Mourinho being there, you understand the kind of philosophy which Tottenham will play with.
Yeah.
And it's surprising for me that they went for Jose Mourinho in the first place. I think if you see their striker Harry Kane, Son, Dele Alli was injured most of the season last time, so he comes back. That would be a very exciting game again. They also got Joe Hart, in the team. So I think they're probably opening a pension scheme because I think Joe Hart after that great run in City, I think he never recovered from that as a career. I think that happened.
I think another issue with Tottenham right now, if you see, they have let go of a lot of defenders, right? So there's Kyle Walker-Peters, who not an out-and-out defender, more like a wing back, or used to play on the wing. So he's gone out. There's Jan Vertonghen, who's been like there in that defense line for countless years. And then there's Victor Wanyama, who's gone out. So and I don't see any sort of defender coming in except for Matt Doherty. Yes, he sort of replaces Victor Wanyama, but then nobody in the centre back. And Jose Mourinho has always had that strong defense, to get those counter attacks going. So how do you think that sort of works out for Mourinho?
I hope they have more signings to do. I hope till the window is open, because currently looking at it, I don't think so. Jose Mourinho itself will be happy. You know
Of course,
how big spender he is.
less than 100 million, he's not happy. So he definitely wants some of those big signings coming in.
And that is exactly opposite of what Spurs usually do. Right? So I hope I would like we would come back to Spurs once this transfer window is closed. Then we'll have a better idea about how it is shaping up for them. I don't feel that they would be even in top 4 or top 6 this time. It's so difficult for them with this side, competing with the likes of City, Liverpool, Chelsea. This time it will be so difficult for them. And also, I think currently, if you see on paper, I think Arsenal is better than them. Arsenal, which is probably a hi-fi thing for Arsenal fans. So yeah, let's see how do they finish. I think they anyways finished better than Arsenal last time. They were in the points table. But I think with the current transfer window, I think Arsenal is doing much better than them. So we would definitely come back to Spurs, looking at who else have they got. There have been couple of rumors because of Jose Mourinho, but we'll come back to Spurs. I would want to talk about Leeds United, Karthik. So recently promoted to Premier League. They have signed, I think, good players around. What do you think about them?
So, yeah, I mean, I mean, they have shown their intent, right, of of staying up. They just not gonna be some side who's just gonna come up, and then you sort of try to finish above the relegation zone, just try to survive that relegation. So definitely their intention is to be in the Premier League year in year out. But having said that, we saw Aston Villa as well last season, who spent around 130 million, but still struggled, till the last game, to survive in the league. So I don't know how they fare. I mean, we all know that the championship is a much more intense, or much more intense league than the Premier League. But Premier League is for the big boys, so it's not going to be as easy as they've had in the Champions League. as easy as they've had in the championship, but we'll see how they go. So, like talking about the big signings, we talk about Rodrigo, who's not had a lot of goal involvements, to be honest, in Valencia, right? So he's been there with the team playing week in week out, but he's just scored about, I think, 6 goals if I'm not wrong in the last season. So that's not something that's not a return that you would expect out of a striker. Yes, he's played well for the Spanish national team, but he struggled in the club games for Valencia. So, and then you see Robin Koch, again a good defender. There's Helder Costa who's come in from Wolves. Again and again one of the good players who've come in. So let's see how they fare. They have got a great manager though, and that also sort of matters. We saw a very good example of that would be Sheffield United, right? Chris Wilder doing an exceptional job with the players that he had. So let's see how they do. I'm my opinion is or my thought is they would be in the league next season. Definitely, they're not going down. Some of the sides that I would be really concerned about is Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, yep,
to be honest,
absolutely.
right? And I also want to talk about the unluckiest player. क्या नाम है उसके का नाम ही भूल गया कौन है वो एक्चुअली कैप्टन वो हाथी पैर
Grealish.
Okay, so I also want to talk about the unluckiest player, right? Jack Grealish here. So he's sort of led his side, or saved his side from relegation. He's one of the highly rated midfielders right now in England. We haven't seen any bids gone in from him, or nobody's trying to buy him. Everybody's thought of buying him, but nobody's really gone in for him. He's not
So
been called.
the amount of money that Aston Villa quoted for him was too large for people to actually go buy him. I think around 70 to 80 million. That was too large for people. I think Manu was kind of interested in him. That was shown at the end of the season as well. I think they had a game against Manchester United where he kind of showed his tricks, but then people were saying that this is basically him trying to impress Ole to get into Manchester United. But now signing Van der Beek is seals that chance of him coming in. I don't think so. He comes in now, and unfortunately, I think they will definitely get relegated this time.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they survive, but somebody has to get relegated, right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of unfortunate. But let's see. We still don't know. We've seen sides bouncing back from that, playing not very well to sort of finishing well.
So moving on to a side that impressed us last season, Sheffield United, Karthik. What do you think? Will they be able to replicate the same form that they had last season to this season?
I think it's gonna be a little difficult. It was. I mean, I also think that a lot of sides last season did not perform up to their mark. We know United, Chelsea, or Tottenham, Arsenal. They are not they are not competing for that positions from 4 to 10. They are always the top 4 finishers, and they did not perform as well as they should have. And Sheffield United had been playing well, so that only sort of happens in one-off season, right? So I think it's gonna be difficult. They've also lost their most prized asset, Dean Henderson. Although Aaron Ramsdale has come back, Aaron Ramsdale has come in right from Bournemouth. He's been exceptional for Bournemouth last season, or been really good. So that sort of fills that position, but I think they would still. I would expect them to stay in the Premier League, of course, but it's gonna be a tougher task than last season to do that. We also saw that with Huddersfield, right, last to last season, where they sort of performed really well. In the start of the season, they finished well, and then the next season they got relegated. So it's difficult to perform at the highest level year in year out. So let's hope let's hope they continue that form, so that we also see those amazing that competition in the Premier League, with all sides sort of competing for that top 10 position. So hoping for a good show from them.
Yeah, I think this would be probably one of the best Premier League yet that we'll get to see this season. Almost all the top six have buffed their side up.
Yeah.
It won't be as easy for Liverpool that it was last time. And I hope we see a close competition at least in 1 and 2 position, not like last time. And this will end the podcast. Please leave a like and let us know what else we can talk about in the next podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.